Colleen Kelly, and this is Round Trip with Colleen Kelly, your go to podcast for all adventures, tips, and anything that you've been looking for in terms of travel stories. And today we are talking to wilderness travel. And this woman, her name is Jenny. She is a Spitfire. She is super fun. She's all about adventure and telling us about this wonderful company. And I'm really excited to talk to her. All right, everybody. So I am talking to Jenny Gowan. I just met her a couple minutes before. I feel like I'm going to be best friends with this woman. I do. She's with
Wow.
Wilderness
Wow.
Travel. She's a special events manager at Wilderness Travel. And no, you are so much fun, Jenny. Like you just
Oh,
made my
thank you.
day.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. As I said, 8 shots of espresso. We'll do that to Jenny in the morning.
Yeah, or 8 shots of vodka,
Yeah.
here. No, just kidding, everybody. Just kidding. It's still morning. But anyway, let's talk about this because you've got a very exciting company, which is why I can see you are so exciting, and it's called Wilderness Travel, and
Yes.
it's a family-owned company, but for people that don't know, and I was still learning, tell us about Wilderness Travel because it sounds like such an adventure to go on a trip with all of you.
Well, and you said it. Adventure travel is the name of the game. We are considered pioneers in this space. Our founder, Bill Abbott, started wilderness travel in Berkeley in 1978. And those first few trips were primarily in South America. Bill grew up there. He was, an amateur mountaineer, photographer, explorer, hitchhiker, I think.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and he just loved exploring the sort of remote mountains of South America, hidden jungles, all that stuff, and
Wow.
and so our first trips were really geared towards getting people off the beaten path. They were very expeditionary in nature, still are, and so that term adventure travel, we really like to think, and I think are honored with the reputation of having really been a pioneer in the space and really defining the genre, which these days is pretty broad and expansive. Adventure travel can mean everything from heli skiing to, flying down to the North Pole and having a Michelin star chef
Mhm.
make you a dinner. There's that. And then there's, really the origins of the movement, which, as I said, are really exploratory in nature, driven by a huge sense of curiosity, engagement. We're not tourists, right? We're travelers, and sort of we're not spectators. So deep sense of engagement, understanding, knowledge, and yeah, an understanding of the communities that we visit, cultural exchange, protection of public lands, nature, wildlife, all of
So
that.
you're not
And then
Yeah, you're not just sitting there looking at things. You're actually involved.
yeah, we're not spectators. We're not arriving to a place and being like, show me what you got, sort of a thing. And impress me, right? It's more of a humility when you approach a space and when you approach a people, and really just trying to get to the sense of a place. Um, and so yeah, we're not sitting back. We are engaged, sort of at every moment and at every part of the trip level and design as well. So our trips are often designed or with local leaders. um, Most of the money that our trips generate stays in country,
Mm.
supporting grassroots organizations. We use locally owned businesses, hotels, restaurants, all of that sort of stuff. We're not taking big buses around everywhere. Try to keep our footprint pretty small, and where there is a footprint, it should be positive.
Yes, for sure.
Um, so yeah, these are the sort of founding principles that have really guided our evolution throughout the years. And even as the world in some ways is so big and but has gotten so small,
Yeah.
we've been able to maintain that sense of exploration, discovering new places still, but also rediscovering places that people thought that they knew, um, but you had really only scratched the surface.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah. So authentic
yeah,
experiences, would you say?
yeah,
That's what it sounds like. And that's what it's about is authenticity. and actually getting involved and experiencing these moments, and like you just said, the people, and knowing that you're not, you're giving back to the community is incredible. So it's
Yeah,
not just a vacation, but you're also involved and, again, giving back. I
yeah,
love this. Okay, so tell us a little bit about some of these adventures for people that are listening. One of them I know that's really, really big are the
yeah,
eclipse
yeah.
travel?
Yeah, so eclipse travel is just that. A lot of times, I don't know if people necessarily like this term, but I think it's a term of endearment. Eclipse chasers. These are people that go around the world chasing eclipses. Eclipses are not just static in one place in the world from year to year. So you do have to chase them. There might even not be one every year. So these have been a long-standing sort of theme and series in our special event category at Wilderness Travel. I think our first eclipse trip was in 1994. So we've been doing it for a long time. Yeah.
You were ahead of the game before
Oh yeah.
everybody else jumped on.
Yeah, everyone jumped on. What was it? 2000, when I don't even remember, 2020. When was the see, we don't do
Yeah,
domestic eclipse trips,
yeah,
and I've never been in the path, so I can't even recall this information on the top of my mind. But it's very hard to run domestic trips. So even though we've had eclipses in the United States, we're like, ooh, we can't do that.
yes.
But yeah, we've
International, right?
yeah, we've been ahead of the game for a while, thanks in large part to Alex Filippenko, who is our guest astronomer from local boy here, Cal Berkeley, and he is a really engaging speaker. He also is in public view, having done a bunch of television series himself. Voted, I think, like best teacher, best speaker, best lecturer at Cal Berkeley many times. Really engaging, very devout following. And so yeah, our eclipses are just there's a huge appetite for them and a huge demand, and that has only surged since with the
Right.
last two eclipses that we had in the United
And that
States.
I think that's what's so incredible about your tours is they're just not just going to see the eclipse. You bring a professional, an expert in to explain maybe the eclipse or all these details that they're so thirsty for knowledge of.
Yeah,
And that's what's incredible. You bring these really, really reputable professors and experts
yeah.
into the trip. And these trips, this is the only thing. They sell out fast.
They sell out really fast, sometimes in a matter of hours.
Ooh,
Um, I can say with almost 100% confidence that within 24 hours the trip is sold out, and then
oh my
immediately
gosh.
massing a wait list. And that wait list can be, I think, for the 2026 eclipse, we've got about over two times as many people on the wait list as we can accommodate even on the trip. I think for the 2027 eclipse in Egypt, it might be closer to three times.
Wait, for 2027, you have a waiting list?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ooh,
because
can
that
I
trip
get
is
on
published.
2028?
20 we're working on 2028 right
Okay,
now.
okay.
So that's one thing for your listeners, get on our mailing list. As long as you log an inquiry through us at wildernesstravel.com on our Eclipse pages, you'll be one of the first to hear. They will always go to any inquiries that we have, anyone who's been on past eclipses with us, anyone who's expressed interest. You're going to see it. You're going to see that announcement first before it goes live to the public. So
Okay.
that's really important.
So I need to right now I've got my computer.
Yeah.
Inquiry,
Yeah,
wilderness.com,
wildernesstravel.com/special.
2028.
Yeah.
But it'll be
And
there
I
before
think
you
if
know
you
it.
I actually don't think that you can log an inquiry for 2028, but if you log an inquiry for any eclipse, so just pick 2027,
Okay,
then
okay,
that'll
I'll do that.
automatically get you in there. Yeah.
Okay, okay, I will do that because this definitely should be on my list. But now I think I'm gonna wait look at 2027, 2028. All right, well, so
2027 is gonna be pretty incredible. It's the longest eclipse of the century. We won't have another one like it until, I think, 2132 or something like that.
I think I'll
6
still be
minutes.
alive then. I think
Yeah,
so.
I hope so. Let's hope so.
Yeah, yeah, we
With
could go
modern
together.
technology, yeah. Our consciousness our
Yes, might be a
conscience,
lot around, yeah.
whatever,
But so
we'll
this
be
is in
we'll be able to
Luxor.
do
This
it.
is in Luxor, Egypt. And this
It
is like
is.
is this the best place in the world to see this eclipse? Is that why you picked that?
It's the best. So, best is a very subjective term in this industry, and then particularly with eclipse travel, because not only are you looking at where is maybe maximum totality, right? So, the eclipse in 2027 is going to have totality of 6 minutes and 22 seconds. Totality is when, the moon is sort of perfectly obscuring the sun and you see the bright corona and all of this stuff. So, that eclipse totality is lasting 6 minutes and 22 seconds. And so you're trying to maximize that time while also taking into consideration historic cloud cover, right? The likelihood that you're actually
Oh.
going to see the eclipse. And then also the location, right? Because as you said, we're not just going out into these spaces just to view an eclipse. There's a whole itinerary that gets crafted around that location. And so for the Luxor trip, you know, how can you just go see an eclipse that's passing over Luxor? you know uh, uh, with the Egyptians have such a storied history of astronomical observation, and it's sort of woven into their mythology, right, and their culture. So how could you pass over the chance to view the eclipse there and instead go just view it in the middle of the desert somewhere, right? So there's a lot that goes into um, crafting these itineraries that again is maximizing totality, thinking of your likelihood of actually seeing it based on historic weather, and then also what the region has to offer in the way of um, supporting that astronomical curiosity that we have surrounding the.
Right. So when they I mean, because the 6 minutes is lovely, but in the meantime, you've gotta have a hotel and maybe have some experiences in Egypt. So do you handle
Yeah.
all that? And what does that look like? Is it 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and people just arrive, you take them to their hotel? What does that look
Yeah.
like beyond the eclipse?
Yeah, it really depends on the trip. So next year, 2026 eclipse is only 4 nights, 5 days. It's in Spain. So, again, each location, we might craft a different style of itinerary based on what we think our travelers might like to do. When you're in Europe, for example, we don't really want to have a trip that's, a 12-day long itinerary, because people might want to have their own plans around Europe, right? People might be coming early and exploring on their own, then they just want to come for the eclipse and then go off and do something else, right? Place that's amenable to people sort of traveling on their own and doing what they like. We want to always create space for that. So the eclipse next year is 4 nights, 5 days. And then people will break off and do wilderness travel, sort of like accessory wilderness travel
Oh.
itineraries that we already have built, right? Like our Pyrenees trip, our Pilgrim's Way trip, France to Spain, hiking in the Basque country, Azores, Madeira. These are itineraries that we already run as small group adventures. But in order to do the eclipse, which is again only that 4 nights, 5 days, then you do one of these accessory
You tack it
programs.
on type of
Yeah,
thing.
you tack it on.
Okay,
And
okay.
that will always be the case for like a short event. We'll always have these sort of separate trips that people can book either before or after. Um, in places like Mongolia, or remote parts of Patagonia, Egypt, then we will feel a greater sense of responsibility to sort of craft a longer itinerary that's a little bit more all encompassing.
Mhm.
So our 2027 eclipse trip is really sort of modeled after our what we call the In the Wake of Cleopatra small group adventure, which is an exploration of Cairo, all of those sites, flying down to Abu Simbel, boarding our
Mm.
boarding our Nile cruise there, and then heading north to Luxor, and then culminating in the eclipse.
Ooh, a cruise too? That sounds
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
That sounds great. So that sounds incredible. So I love this idea of the eclipse. I love the tacking on of these adventures because that's super exciting. What if, you've got some people out there that are like, okay, well, I like the eclipse, but I'm really into adventure and I wanted to do what you just said, go to
yeah.
these villages and experience life, around these locations. What do you have to offer for
That aren't
whether
eclipses or that
yeah,
involve the
that
eclipses?
that aren't eclipses.
Yeah, we do have small group travel, which really is our bread and butter. That's what started the company. We'll never have more than fifteen guests on a trip. So, depending on what you're interested in, We've got a little bit of something for everybody. We have a pretty robust trip rating system depending on the level of activity you wish to undertake. That can be anything from, like I said, Nile cruises all the way to trekking up Kilimanjaro, or hiking in the Alps. And so, depending on the style of travel that you're interested in, could be wildlife. Again, we've got a wonderful series of conservation and wildlife focused programs. Hiking is really our bread and butter. You won't see us doing too much biking or river rafting or anything like that. We really like walking. so
Yeah,
so
I
we're
love
we're walking all
walking.
over the world all the time.
That's incredible. So people can just sign up for different abilities, like you just mentioned. If you're like at 5 Kilimanjaro, and I can tell you right now, I love the thought of hiking it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it now. I mean, I
You'd be
probably could.
surprised. You'd be
I'm kinda
surprised.
like getting
Age is
older.
nothing but a number at wilderness travel. That's what I say.
You're right. You gotta challenge yourself. But if you're somebody that's like, "Oh, I just wanna go see these sites," is there like a level 1, level 2
Uh-huh.
where you'll say, "This is what you need to be able to you need to be able to walk," or
Exactly.
what have you?
Yeah, so our
You know
trip rating system will always encompass, like, we'll have something like, what can you expect on the hardest day, right? Some people just need to know, what's the hardest day that I'm going to have on this trip? Is it going to be, just 3 hours on my feet? Is it going to be, 3 miles of, 500-foot elevation gain and loss, right? So depending on the trip, there'll be more sort of hiking details. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, so you can just go to the website and look all this up and kind of pick your own trip like a
yeah.
menu, I guess,
Exactly, and there's
right?
lots of different ways to search. So you can search by trip rating. So if you know that you wanna be moving most of the day, every day, hiking, seeing doing some real elevation gain and loss, then maybe you look at a trip level 4 or 5. If you know that those days are behind you or you never really had them, then maybe you do, trip level 1 and 2 and see what we offer. But again, even those trip level 1 and 2s, you're not just gonna be climbing aboard a bus and then viewing things from the window and then just getting out every now and again to, go get a snack or go to a souvenir shop or,
Yeah,
do the entryway of a museum, right? So even our trip level ones tend to be a little bit harder than some of our competitors in the space that might also have what they call like a trip level 1. So it's
right,
always sort of according to the wilderness travel scale, which is why, going on the website and looking at how we grade our trips is
right. Well,
important.
you're
Yeah,
called wilderness travel for a reason, I'm
it's
guessing.
true. It's
It
true.
kinda says a lot. Says you're gonna be doing some things and some action and
Yeah.
some fun things. Now in terms of, like, I don't know, I love restaurants. Do you set up how does that work? I mean, I like all types of food, right?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you like most of us, I think.
Mhm.
Do you set up, like, the restaurants for everybody? Is everything kinda scheduled, and then you've got free time,
Yeah, we are
local
pretty
restaurants?
yeah, I would say we are pretty hyper scheduled. And we fit a lot into these trips. We will include, where appropriate, like a certain level of town time is what I call it. We offer a program in South Africa where, you have to have some time in Cape Town on your own. It has such a rich sort of culinary scene right now. So we have like one dinner that we don't provide because we want to give people the opportunity to go visit a restaurant that they want to visit. So where appropriate, we will include a certain degree of just exploration on your own. But I would say that that's actually pretty uncommon for us again because most of the places that we're visiting,
You wanna
Cape
be
Town is
in.
actually a big city for us, right?
Yeah,
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 we're
yeah.
not we're not in Paris, we're not in London, right? We're not doing that sort of stuff. So, a lot of places that we visit, you can't actually just go walk around to a restaurant somewhere. I also manage a lot of our programs in Namibia, and those have to be pretty hyper scheduled because, the lodges are far apart, and the lodges that might be the only thing in that remote corner of Namibia, and you have to drive 2 hours in either direction to see anything else, right?
Where is
So
NVIDIA? I
Namibia,
travel Nib
yeah. If you're looking
I'm
at a map, there's, South Africa, and from
looking at
your
the map.
perspective, Namibia is northwest of South Africa.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I travel
Yeah.
a lot, but I always, like, admit, if I don't know a place, I mean, I'm just gonna just gonna say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the name, but I
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, so
Yeah, no,
that
it's
has
okay.
to be very scheduled. You have to
Yeah.
book
And
yeah.
likewise, our Eclipse trips, all of our special events, this is they're expensive trips, and one of the reasons is because you're signing up, and then you just show up, and your mind is open, you're ready to go, you're ready to be engaged, and then we take care of the rest, right? So,
Yeah.
um you don't have to worry really about taking out your wallet for anything other than, souvenirs and maybe some tips at the end if you so choose. But, yeah, breakfast, lunch, dinner is almost always going to be provided by Wilderness Travel, and probably, for eclipses especially. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
and if it costs more money, you're basically getting everything done for you, so you don't have to worry about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That should be the least you should think about because
Yeah.
there is an adventure, and I have a quote, in my house. It says, "Travel is the only thing you buy that makes you richer."
Yes,
I love that quote.
it's true. No,
Yeah,
it's really
because
true. And
yeah.
all of us that work at Wilderness Travel, we all still travel on our own. We're not only going on wilderness travel trips, we've got a lot of, staff who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. I mean, we're still capable of planning our own trips and still want to in many cases, but that's a completely different trip than having something that, with an outfitter like Wilderness Travel that you can trust, that's always going to have your best interests at heart, that's going to get you into the places that nobody else can get you that access, get you that behind the
Oh,
scenes. So then again, all you have to do is show up and have an open mind and an open heart and just an experience. Whereas, when you're doing it yourself, you're thinking about, well, what time is the train? And well, where are we going to go eat lunch? And, all of that sort
yes.
of stuff. And so when you take that away, it, just lends itself, like I said, to a much richer experience. And you learn a lot
I
more.
love
So our
that.
travelers are very well educated, very accomplished, very curious. And so yeah, our trips lend themselves to that sort of experience.
Well, I've heard you have repeat travelers over and over again, and that says a lot about the trust that they put into you and what they're
Yeah.
experiencing that they just wanna come back again and do it in
Yeah.
another location perhaps. So I think this is so exciting. I do know you book up fast. So where
Yeah.
can people find more information, and also when should they start, booking that trip? Maybe for next year or what have you?
Yeah. So for our small group trips, as soon as you see dates up on the website, there will be a book online option to book. That is something that, COVID and technology and the
Yeah.
next generation of wilderness travel leadership has given us, which is the ability to book online.
Yeah.
So as soon as you see that option, go ahead and book. We have one of the most generous cancellation policies in the industry. Most of our trips you can cancel up until 90 days, three
I
months
was gonna
prior to
ask you
departure.
that because you never know if somebody like I travel with my mother, she's 84 and she can get around, but you
Mhm.
never know, something might happen or
Just
somebody ends up
never
in the
know.
hospital. Yeah, so it's always good to know that, like, when you book this 90 days before, I
Yeah.
mean, that's incredible. That's usually it's 6 months or more,
Yeah, and we're
right?
gonna have various touch points, throughout that process as well to sort of sometimes people sign up so far in advance that they forget what they've booked. And
Oh,
so having those various touch points is really good because it's like, "Hey, did you remember that
yeah,
booked this
you
trip
booked
to
a trip.
Patagonia? Guess what? Like a second deposit is due." Sometimes we do have second deposits. But,
That
but
helps,
yeah,
then
so
they're committed.
it never hurts to, as soon as you see a trip, and that's one of the things, having such a loyal following, they always turn to the back of the catalog. So once you receive your wilderness travel catalog, a little insider tip, although our longtime
Oh.
travelers, if they're watching this, they're not going to like that I'm giving this away.
Oh, no,
But
please tell us, please tell
but
us.
when you get your catalog, which is just the most beautiful thing I think that we
I
produce,
love catalogs.
yeah, it's
Sorry.
it's a gorgeous piece of art, and, our longtime travelers know they wait for that catalog to come every fall. It's like an early Christmas present, and they immediately turn to the back cover because that's where we, launch all of our new itineraries. And
Sorry,
so
would you
people
say that
that
again?
that's where we launch all of our new itineraries. So people that have been traveling with us for a long time, 50 plus trips, they just turn
They
to
go
that back
straight to the
cover.
back, and then
They
then they
go
look at the pretty stuff later.
Yep, and then they call and they get on that trip, and then, life happens, they change their plans. So getting on a wait list for any trip,
Mm.
including Eclipses, is always good, because depending on the trip, we might turn over the trip entirely
Oh
from,
my gosh. So
first
you
core
gotta get
load.
on, yeah, get
You
on
gotta
now.
get on wait lists, and there's
Yeah.
no there's no cost to getting on wait lists, and yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
inside scoop. Go to the
Get
back of
on
the
now.
cab.
That's a great inside scoop. Thank you for that secret. I'm so sorry to your travelers that already travel
I
with you.
know, it's okay. They know. Sometimes they just call and just ask us what our trips are for next year, even if
Ooh.
we haven't formally announced them yet, and we gotta be like, "Hold your horses," "Get in line." No, I'm just
Good line. Well,
kidding.
I love this. Okay, so people can go to wildernesstravel.com to book that trip, and then maybe get that catalog down the way if they're only if they're gonna be serious about it, though, because it costs a lot of money to print those things.
It
But
does cost a lot of money to print those things, and we go back and forth all the time whether or not we think that this is going to continue to be the way of the future. And every time we do, we get feedback that people just look forward to getting it. It's beautiful. It's a coffee table book, and it really is an inspiration. Like I said, Bill, our founder, was an avid photographer. Still is. So is his son Scott. And so that the photos in the catalog are really just
mm,
that's what's inspiring people to go places that they might never even they didn't even know existed or couldn't have even fathomed what was entailed, right? They know the name of the country, like Namibia, but then you open the Namibia
yeah.
page in the catalog and you're like, oh, that's Namibia, I should go
Yeah, like
there.
Colleen who didn't know where that was. I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard the name, everybody,
Yeah.
but I didn't know, so this would be good for me.
Yeah.
Maybe to
Yeah.
have that catalog book sitting on my coffee table. It's funny you said that because I have a couple there's a couple other, not to say competitors, because 'cause they're not, but, I hold on to those books, and they
Mm.
sit there, and sometimes when I'm sitting there in the living room on a Saturday, I'll just go through it and look.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, "Well, maybe I should book this." It's
Yeah.
it's a great thing to have in front of you rather than waiting for somebody to go online to look, which is online's great,
Yeah.
but, that's kind of fun to kind of
And you never know
have.
what's gonna inspire you. I think that's,
Yeah.
one of the great things about our special events and eclipses, right? It's sort of what I like to refer to as like topic driven travel. That's sort of my specialty within the company. So, people might have been to Egypt. They might have done the whole Nile cruise, Cairo, Luxor thing, but they've never done it this way, right?
Oh.
Or, the eclipse next year is in northern Spain. People have probably been to Bilbao, they've done
Mhm.
all of those things, but they've never done it this way with the experts that we have, sort of really bringing a place to life and doing something that's very topic driven. And when you've traveled so much, and when you're just innately very curious, um, sometimes you need sometimes you need something to sort of stoke that inspiration. And it's like, well, I've been there, but I've never seen it like this before, or I've never traveled with an expert that's really gonna sort of allow me to go deeper. And so you oftentimes will find people that go back to a location, even though they went there 20 years ago, or they're opening up their catalog and being like, I've always seen Namibia as an example, but it never even really occurred to me until I had this reason to go, whether that's a special event that's topic driven, or whatever it is.
I
So
think I need to go to Namibia. Did I pronounce that correct?
well, I
I
am a
think
little
this
bit
is
biased. It's
fine.
one of my favorite places in the world, and like I said, I do
Really?
I do also
Okay.
manage those programs, but, um,
Okay, we have to talk
yeah.
later.
Absolutely.
I'll have to put on my 2027 bucket list. But
Yeah.
okay, so again, wildernesstravel.com is where they go to
Mhm.
find out more and sign up for that trip. And everybody, if you are looking for that trip next year, just do it, as we say.
Yeah,
Life is about experiences. Life is about memories. You
yeah.
can't take that couch that you buy for $3,000 with you. So.
It's true, and our trips are very family friendly too, so we often get, a lot
Oh.
of multi-generational, groups on these trips
Very
as
big.
well.
That's
So, yeah,
because, and like you say, grandparents have the time, to spend right now with those grandchildren and their children,
yeah,
and everybody's running everywhere every day,
yeah.
so that just kind of forces you to really be together, which is
Yeah, and we've
awesome.
been around long enough to where we're seeing that next generation. Someone will call and be like, "Oh, my grandmother did something 20 years ago."
Wow.
I've had people, especially like for Kilimanjaro, do that. "My grandmother passed away and she climbed Kilimanjaro with you guys 30 years ago, and I wanna do that, to honor her." And it's just like, "Oh,
Wow.
yes,
Wow. My
this is
mom
why
my
we
mom
do what
didn't
we
drive
do."
my mom didn't do that. She's done a lot of adventurous things, but she did not do that. That's an amazing grandmother. Anyway, this is awesome. So again, Jenny, wildernesstravel.com. Do you have any other last minute tips for our viewers and everybody who's listening to this wonderful conversation?
Yeah, I'd say, the search bar is your friend on that website. So if you're looking for a special event, an eclipse, you can just type in the name of a country if you have no idea where to start. Just the search bar is your friend there. And sign up early. For most of our trips, it is just a $600 per person deposit, fully refundable up until 90 days prior to departure for most trips. Eclipses, a little bit different, but still, um, pretty
Okay,
generous
sign up.
cancellation policy. So sign up early, and then just talk to us and talk to your family, talk to your friends, revisit over the holidays. A lot of people do that when friends and family come together, and then
Yeah.
just get back in touch with us if you need to change your plans. But we do book out so far in advance that if you're thinking about it at all, just do it.
Just do
And
it. Just do it, everybody. Life is too short, as we all said. But Jenny,
true.
you are a joy to talk to. You are
Oh,
so
thank
much
you.
fun. I
You too.
truly feel like we're friends.
Yes.
So maybe like one of the wilderness trips you can come on to, so we can go
Yeah.
together.
And then I can have my
You teach me.
espresso and you can have your vodka, and then we'll have espresso vodka martinis, and then we'll just combine the best of all the worlds.
Then we won't see anything on the tour, right?
We'll just be in the corner drinking espresso martinis. That's okay.
You're funny. Oh, this is good. Thank you so much. So this was awesome.
Thank you,
And
Colleen.
yeah, I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And we'll be in touch. We gotta have you on again next time.
Absolutely.
Okay, for spring
Would love
travel.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jenny. All
Alrighty.
right.
Thank you. Bye.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
That was so awesome with Jenny. I felt like I truly met a good friend. I don't know if you felt that way too, but she's fantastic. I love what her company stands for. So that was a great interview. And thank you for listening. Thanks for, just being here with Round Trip. For more information, follow us at Round Trip Colleen Kelly on all socials. You can also visit roundtripcolleenkelly.com for more information and travel articles. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at roundtripcolleenkelly@gmail.com. And finally, if you like what you hear, please follow, subscribe, and leave us a comment because I am so thankful for all of you and I'm thankful for this journey. So we'll see you next time and bye, guys. Safe travels.